Welcome everyone to round 5 of the Des Plaines, Illinois City Championship. I am Pooka and we have a great matchup here in the 5th round. At this point, we don't have too many undefeated players left, but the two we have at this featured match will be Matt Moss, the former STS champion back from like 2001, still playing. He came back, he's doing well at the City Championship, versus Joe Baka, player we've already featured. And he's already proven himself to be a great player after that first game we have. So I'm excited for this matchup. Let's go right into it. All right, so Matt will be on the left. Joe will be on the right. And this will be an interesting matchup. Both of these guys are using Darkrai decks. Joe, however, is using the Terrakion. He's using... we've already seen his deck. It's Terrakion, Landorus, Darkrai with some hammers. Moss, he's just going straight up with Darkrai, Sableye, Crushing Hammer. Just a straight hammer time deck, more consistent, more straightforward. And this is a very tough matchup for Moss, but at the end of the day, it honestly comes down to those Crushing Hammer flips. It just seems like that's what it comes down to. So anything can happen in this matchup. Both these guys are really good players. I'm excited to see this in action. But I'm just going to shuffle up and we'll get set up here in round 5. The winner of this one has to feel very comfortable after starting 5-0. You're pretty much guaranteed to make the top 8 because your resistance will be so high based on who you played already. You got to assume their records will be pretty good. You're going to face nothing but good players. So you just feel like you're going to make it based on resistance if you win this round. So it's really a comfort round. You know, you win, you're pretty much going to make it to the top cut. If you lose, you got to go down to the loser's pool, and then you got to win maybe 2 more matches to make the top cut here. Because 6-1 is what you got to do to feel safe. Otherwise, starting 5-0 is your other way to feel safe. 5-2s have been missing the top cut here at the Chicago Marathon. This is the 3rd day, 3rd city championship. So yeah. 5-2s have just, most of them have missed pretty much every day. And both these guys are looking to keep their run alive, to keep their streak going. I know Matt, he's very excited about doing well today. He had some rough starts the first 2 days. So we'll see if he can get another win here and keep his run going. Looks like Joe will be going first, as signified by the die on top of his card, so that'll be an advantage for him in this mirror match. And I say it's a mirror match, but honestly, the Terrakion is what's going to make the difference here. Being able to retaliate with Terrakion out of nowhere to just knock out a Darkrai EX in one hit is the difference maker. Landorus EX could also be a difference maker. Not as good as you might think in this matchup. Just requiring 2 fighting energy can be tough sometimes with the Crushing Hammer around. So look for the Terrakion to be the difference, and the Crushing Hammers to be the difference more than anything. And we're getting started here. Round number 5. We have a Darkrai versus a Sableye. Moss, you know, he's not going to be afraid of being knocked out on the first turn. Darkrai can't really do that. And we'll see what kind of a start Joe has. We see an Ultra Ball, so that's already going to be a good start. He discards a Skyla. He must have another supporter in his hand. And he also discarded the Catcher. Catcher, it can be useful in this matchup, but a lot of the time it's just not that useful. Most of the time you're just attacking the active. So discarding a Catcher, not that big of a deal, especially because you can always just use Sableye to junk hunt and get one back. Now, an important factor in this matchup, honestly, is all about bench management. If you bench too many Pokemon, you can end up losing the game. Reason being, pretty much take for granted that you're going to use Sableye at some point. You're going to use Junk Hunt to recover resources. It's just a ridiculously good attack. So, you know you're going to give up that 1 prize. But you don't want to give your opponent a second Sableye to knock out. With Pokemon Catcher around, that means they can just knock out 2 Sableyes and then 2 Darkrai EXs because they're EXs. They give up 2 prizes. And that's just game over. That's 6 prizes. You know, take 6 prizes, you win the game. Whereas if you only put 1 Sableye into play, they then have to knock out 1 70 hit point Sableye and then 3 180 hit point Darkrai EXs. which is completely different. So from Matt's side, that's what he's got to keep in mind, and Joe as well. But Joe also has Terrakion, which has 130 hit points and can knock out a Darkrai in one hit. So he can afford to put down another non-EX just because Terrakion is going to be so strong. Now, Joe, he missed his first energy attachment. That's a painful thing in this matchup, especially with Crushing Hammer. It's just gonna be, every energy drop counts with a Darkrai deck. It's just one energy drop can mean the difference between continually using Night Spear and just never being able to actually attack. So missing that first energy drop, painful for Joe, but we'll see if he can recover. Matt, on the other hand, has the card that you always want to start with in this deck, pretty much every deck, honestly, which is Computer Search. Now, you discard 2 cards. It's an A-Spec card. You can only play one of them in your deck, but he'll discard a Sableye and a Dark Energy, and he gets to search for any card and put it into his hand. Now, the reason it's especially good in this Darkrai Sableye deck is that Sableye can use Junk Hunt to get it right back, which means you can use Computer Search multiple times in a game, and that is just extremely powerful. So I guess, I'm not sure what Matt's going to take with this, depends on his hand. He might just take a Dark Patch, because he's got a Dark Energy in the discard pile already. So I didn't quite see what he took. He puts a Dark on the Sableye. It looks like he did take a Dark Patch. That's a good move. It gets an extra energy into play. And looks like he might have a Juniper as well. Yep, there's a Juniper and a Bianca and a random receiver. Just decides to Juniper, discards the other 2 supporters, and draws 7. Now, it's unlikely, but he could actually get a turn 1 Night Spear if he draws the correct cards. He would need like an Ultra Ball, discarding a Dark Energy, and then an Energy Switch and a Dark Patch. Turn 1 Night Spear, it's not very probable, but I did see it happen for the first time yesterday. I saw Jason Kozinski pull it off. A turn 1 Night Spear. In this format, it's unlikely, but I saw it. It's real. It exists. But we're going to see Moss just Junk Hunt for his Computer Search and a Dark Patch, basically showing Joe, I am going to Night Spear you turn 2. Unless you hit Crushing Hammers, I am going to get you turn 2 with a Night Spear. So we'll see how Joe responds to this. Does he have many options to respond to this? He did not play an Energy. Puts down a Dark Claw on his Darkrai. And here we go. Here's the first of many Crushing Hammers, I would assume. Looks like that was a Tails. And here's another Crushing Hammer. That one's a Heads. So he's going to remove the energy from the Darkrai. Now this does not make it impossible for Moss to Night Spear this next turn. And just a pass. So Joe actually does not have anything. So Moss here, of course he's going to Dark Patch that Dark back onto his Darkrai. That's obvious. Now if he has an Energy Switch and an Energy, he can just retreat to his Darkrai and Night Spear. And he's going to get the first Night Spear, which is huge in a mirror match. Just to get the first 90 damage on your opponent's field, that is the difference in these games. And Joe, we've seen he has absolutely nothing in his hand. So we could see Moss just kind of overrun Joe if he doesn't draw anything. Then again, if you remember back to round number, I believe it was round number 3, Joe did make a 4-prize comeback with this deck. He also had a similarly bad start. So we won't rule that out of the question here. Moss is just deciding what he wants to do here. He's got a Computer Search, so we know at the very least he will Night Spear this turn. I think he's just kind of deciding what else he wants to do. He's already used the Dark Patch. Does he just want to retreat, Energy Switch, attach, and then Night Spear? Or does he want to use that Computer Search for something bigger? He will use it. See, he has an Enhanced Hammer and a Dark. He intelligently discards the Enhanced Hammer because he realizes, okay, this is just a Darkrai deck. Do Darkrai decks play Special Energy? No, not really. I've seen some use Prism Energy, or I've seen a few use Double Colorless Energy, but I really don't see it very often. And we know Joe, honestly, he plays Dark and Fighting. So discarding the Enhanced Hammer here is a good move for Moss. It's just going to be a worthless card for the most part. Now he's grabbing, I think he grabbed a second Dark Patch, which I do like. That's going to just get another energy into play, power up that Darkrai without using an energy switch. And yep, it's going to keep the energy on the Sableye for a later time to be switched off with energy switch, which can be nice. Say this Darkrai, excuse me, say this Darkrai gets knocked out at some point by like a Terrakion or something, and then Moss has to promote something so he can Dark Patch to a new Darkrai. Then at least he has the Sableye to promote and it can retreat freely still. Or if he just needs an energy somewhere at some point, that's just there to energy switch. And we do see Moss plays a Tool Scrapper. He discards the Dark Claw from Joe's Darkrai. I guess he's just going to Juniper anyway, so might as well play it. We'll probably just see a Night Spear for 90, and then I would assume he does 30 to the bench Darkrai. Either that or Sableye. Those are his two options, but I would go for the Darkrai probably. You see an Energy Search just to thin out the deck a little bit. Grabs another Dark Energy. So this is a pretty textbook start from Matt Moss. Everything is going very well. He's getting a turn 2 Night Spear. And this is what the deck is built to do. It is just purely a consistent deck. It runs a ton of energy, a ton of supporters, and just Darkrai and Sableye. He does not run anything fancy. It's just, I'm going to Night Spear you as quickly as possible. I have some Crushing Hammers to disrupt you. That is my strategy. I'm just going to do my thing every time. And I'm going to bank on the fact that sometimes your deck is going to be clunky. Sometimes you're not going to set up just the way you want to. And even when it does, sometimes I can just get lucky with Crushing Hammers and win anyway. Darkrai is just such a strong Pokemon that it can win games on its own. And that's what we see here. So I couldn't see if Joe really top-decked anything. He's a player who likes to mull over his decisions. Well, it looks like he got a Skyla. So at least he'll have a supporter here. But drawing a Skyla is kind of a tease. It's like, yeah, you can Skyla, and then what do you grab? You grab a supporter for next turn, which it's not the greatest thing in the world. So it's kind of like, it's not immediately good, but it's like, at least I know that I'm going to have a supporter next turn, whereas it's better than not drawing a supporter at all, I guess. We're going to see him Skyla either for a Juniper or an N, I would think. He's eyeing an Energy Switch, or Energy Search as well. Let's see. I'm not sure what he would use if he did that. Maybe there's a random receiver in his discard pile so that he could just retreat his Darkrai and Junk Hunt? I don't know. We'll see what he decides to do. Okay, he's going to grab an N. That's probably the better play. Unless he had a random receiver in his discard pile. He did have an Energy Switch in his hand, too. So he could have, Energy Searched for a Dark, attached, retreated to Sableye, and then Energy Switched for a Junk Hunt. But it looks like he didn't have that option, so he just grabs an N with his Skyla, and he has to pass. This is kind of the downside of Skyla. There are times, it's good in Stage 2 decks when you have to find a rare candy, but in these basic decks, it's only really good when you're already established, and you just need one more card to kind of do what you want to do. Now Moss is attaching a 4th energy to his Darkrai. I guess this is in fear of Crushing Hammer. Kind of a strange move. But if he doesn't have another Darkrai, I guess, why not? It does kind of open himself up to a Mewtwo play at some point. But I guess it's just added protection against Crushing Hammer. Why not just do that? And you're going to get End anyway. So why leave yourself open to a Crushing Hammer plus an N? But Joe's already used 2 Crushing Hammers, so I don't know. So here we go. This is going to be Joe's chance to come back. He's got an N. He's going to draw 6, and Matt will draw 4. Now Joe here, he's I honestly don't know what he's trying to draw this turn. Realistically, he will not get an attack off this turn. And there we have, I think it was Jimmy. He put his Bears hat out there, and then Moss gave the big thumbs down, and I would agree.
I love it, baby.
At the very least, we're having fun here. Go Packers, by the way. And let's see, we got an N for 6. First thing Joe probably wants is an energy. I mean, there's a chance he can just not have anything. He's got a Tool Scrapper for the Eviolite. That's a big Tool Scrapper, honestly. Eviolite is what will prevent Terrakion from knocking Matt out in one hit. But I don't think Joe got a Dark Energy. He just got a Fighting. Which, you know, Fighting's great with Terrakion, but it's not great just having one there. And that's the problem. So he's just going to have to pass once again. And, I mean, Matt's still in good, great shape, but he needs to get a Darkrai in play. He needs that. And he actually, let's see, discards a Dark Patch and a Dark. I wonder what his other 2 cards are when he's doing that. It seems very strange to me that he would he'd discard both of those. Maybe his other card is a Dark Patch and a Juniper? Yeah, wow, that's the only way you would do that. That's strange. Oh, a Dark Patch and an Energy Switch. Okay, I guess that works too. And I know Moss is probably scared. Oh, he actually knows that one of his supporters is a prize. So he's going to take the knockout on the Sableye. Put 30 on that other Darkrai. See if he gets a supporter. Hope for the best. Now, this Fighting Energy looming is scary. There is a small chance that Joe could pull off a Retaliate knockout this turn. He would need a Dark Energy, which he did not have the previous turn, the Terrakion, plus 2 Energy Switches to move both of those energy onto his Terrakion. Now, if he has all those cards, he can make a big comeback here. He can just start the comeback. Once you get Terrakion out with no damage on it, oh, that is the scariest thing a Darkrai player could ever see. And it could happen. I don't think Joe has used many resources to this point, so he's probably got a bunch of energy switches left. And I can't say I would be too surprised if he pulled this off. It would be a devastating blow for Matt, considering the Eviolite did get Tool Scrapper. So it's all in these 7 cards here. This is a big opportunity for Joe. Could we see him make another big comeback here? We're going to have to wait and see. I'm sure he knows what he's looking for. One of the cards I think was a Computer Search, so that's going to help him if he's just missing one piece of the puzzle. Or maybe it was an Energy Search, oops. That is a little different than a Computer Search. So we're waiting to see what Joe has. I saw an Ultra Ball. So he can definitely get the Terrakion. But can he get 2 energy switches? I don't think so. And if he doesn't get it this turn, I think Moss is kind of in the clear. He'll be able to win, I think, if he can survive through this turn. It just seems like he will. Because the Retaliate turn is the big one. And it takes a lot to get 3 energy on a Terrakion. It's easier to get 2 on a Terrakion to Retaliate. The 3rd energy is where you get trouble. So I don't see Matt really knocking anything out anytime soon. I think even if he has a catcher, he's better off just hitting the Darkrai with the energy. Just keep piling the damage on the other one, and just kind of try to take all your prizes at once. And alright, we have an Energy Search Fossil. We saw that the first time Joe played, and Moss is just reading it. Those are back from his days. So let's see what kind of energy he grabs here. I mean, it's Fighting or a Dark. Now, if he grabs a Fighting, he'll probably just Ultra Ball for Terrakion and drop a Fighting on it and pass. Otherwise, he'll just grab a Dark, attach, and pass. Now, the problem is, man, he's just in a bad, bad spot. He's going to need some energy switches to really pull off anything. Because if he attaches to this active Darkrai, he just gets a Night Spear for 90. What does he do? He can attack. And then he gets knocked out. And then not only does he have a knocked out Darkrai, leaving himself with no energy in play, he also has another Darkrai with 30 hit points left. And then it's just one more Night Spear, and the game is over. So really, this has just been a game where Moss has outsped his opponent, beat him to the punch, and Joe just has not been able to keep up at all. He has not had his energy switches at the correct time. He's not had really anything at the right time. And it's really just all added up to Matt being in a favorable position. There were opportunities for Joe to get a big Terrakion knockout with Retaliate, but he just didn't have the cards to do it. And he's gonna try to find a way out, like any good player would. But it's not looking too good for him right now. So let's see what Joe decides to do. He's got an Ultra Ball. He's thinking about it. It's kind of the thing where you're like, I'm not too sure what I want to do. I kind of want to play something. I don't know what I want to discard. I don't know what I'm going to get. But I know I got to do something because if I don't, I'm taking too much time. But I don't know if this is the right choice. It all depends on what I draw. It's just a very difficult decision. Pokemon is a tough, tough game sometimes when you get into these situations where you just don't know what you're supposed to do. There are so many options available to you, and you just hope that you picked the correct one. So he does grab Terrakion. This is gotta be a scary thing for Moss to see, that's for sure. Just look at that Terrakion. It is intimidating. Full art. Takes up the whole card. He's staring right at you. And he just is good against Darkrai. That's just Terrakion's job nowadays, is to knock out Darkrai's. Let's see if he does his job here. This is a very difficult turn for Joe, so I can't blame him for taking a while. Oh, I thought he was gonna retreat to his Terrakion and double energy switch. I was like, oh no, he's got it all. But he doesn't. And now it's gonna be up to Moss to do something here. He's got an energy search. Now the tempting play for Moss, honestly, would be to Night Spear the active and just take the knockout. The smarter thing to do, in my opinion, is to retreat to Sableye and grab a Pokemon catcher and then a random receiver maybe. Otherwise, you are opening yourself up to a Retaliate knockout, and then that Darkrai, or that Terrakion could just knock out two Darkrai's in a row, and you will just struggle to take your very last prize. Now, the only way that I could see Moss walking into this sort of thing is if he had a Dark Claw, but he doesn't. So he's walking right into it, guys. This could be the turning point for Joe if he has the energy switch, and we already know he has the fighting. If he has the energy switch, this could get very ugly very quickly. There's an Eviolite on that Terrakion as well, so that's going to prevent any sort of a Dark Claw knockout. This is a horrendous position for Matt. He walked right into it. I do think that was a bit of a mistake on his behalf. You should just be more patient in that situation. Just retreat to Sableye, use the Junk Hunt, and be happy with your position. I think this could be the beginning of a 6-1 comeback here, if things go correctly for Joe. There's so much on the line here. Here's a Crushing Hammer. Those can be big too at this point, but that's a Tails. And we're going to have to see what will Moss do next turn. That's a big thing. And now, obviously, this Terrakion does 180, knocks out the Darkrai in one hit. You got to think some of this might just be Matt's unfamiliarity with the format, with the cards. He actually has not been playing very often this season. He's just kind of come back for City Championships, just started playing like 3 or 4 days ago again. So he might not be familiar with a card like Terrakion, which is very good against Darkrai. He might not understand just what he's getting into here. And maybe that would explain his play. Maybe he was just playing the odds, saying, you know what, if you got it, you got it, and I'll just roll with it. Either way, it's not looking good for him. That Terrakion is a menace. And, oh, here's an N. So he's going to end himself to 1. Actually puts a Dark Claw on his Darkrai as well. So this is going to be an extremely close finish. That Eviolite on Joe's Terrakion is saving him right now. I can't stress that enough. Moss is going to be 10 damage short, and there's no easy way for him to do 10 damage in this deck. So I wonder what he'll do this turn. Will he just Night Spear, do 90 damage, or will he just use Junk Hunt? Because he just did end Joe down to 4. The problem is if Joe has a catcher and an energy, he can just take out that Darkrai in one hit, take out all the energy, and Moss is just kind of done for. But uh-oh, Moss is just going for it. He's going to Night Spear for 90, and that's just an energy Land Crush knockout. And then from there, all it takes is a catcher to win. This is crazy. This is what Terrakion can do in this mirror matchup. No matter how far behind it seems, Terrakion can just knock out Darkrai's 1, 2, 3 in a row. And it is 130 hit points, just makes it so difficult. I think if you're Matt, you should definitely just use Sableye here. Junk Hunt. I would probably grab maybe just like a Tool Scrapper and maybe a random receiver if there's one in there. Because if Joe does not have an energy plus a catcher, you just have to Tool Scrapper with the Eviolite and you win the game with a Dark Claw, the Night Spear. Another option is honestly to grab some, like a Crushing Hammer. He really needs a card that'll get him a supporter. So this is a tough decision. I think Matt's going to make the right one by using Junk Hunt. But it is a very, very difficult decision. Now he's taking a look and he sees Joe has actually used 3 catchers. 3 so far. So the odds of him having the 4th one, extremely low. Considering how big his deck is, the odds of him having his 4th catcher is just so low. This is why you should definitely use Junk Hunt. And Moss is going to grab, looks like a Tool Scrapper. See him eyeing up that card. And looks like he's going to come to the correct decision here. He's going to use Junk Hunt, that's definitely the right one. And Random Receiver as well. I'm a big fan of this. You got to commend Moss for keeping his cool under this situation. You know, I don't think he expected that Terrakion to come out of there and just blow up his Darkrai like that, but he has now recognized what kind of trouble he's in. And, you know, he's made the right move here. So now it's going to come down to what does Joe have? Does he have that catcher? If he does, it's an easy play. Catcher that Darkrai with the 3 energy on it, and you Land Crush that thing back to the Stone Age, and you take your 2 prizes, and you are just one step closer to taking your victory. If you don't, that's tough. If you don't have the catcher, what do you do? Obviously, you can't just leave Terrakion up there if you don't have an N, because you know Moss has the Tool Scrapper. You know all it takes is he just Tool Scrappers, and then you get Night Spirit, and you lose. The Dark Claw adds the 20 damage. You lose the game. Plain and simple. So, if you don't have an N, and you don't have a catcher, you honestly have to retreat. You cannot leave Terrakion up there. You just lose the game if you do. So this is going to put a lot of pressure on Joe to have the right cards here. And we'll see if he does. I see at least the Dark in his hand, so he will be able to retreat. The Terrakion does not have free retreat, because he doesn't have a Dark on it yet. So there's the Dark energy. I don't see catcher. So Matt is going to be safe. See Joe retreating to the Darkrai. Now, what will he do from there? I don't even see a supporter. If he has 2 energy switches, I don't think he uses them. And I gotta think at this point, Moss is a huge favorite to win this game. It just seems so likely now that he's the random receiver and the tool scrapper that he'll just have a catcher to win. I'm not sure how many he's used, but I don't think it's a very high number. And I think Moss is going to take a look as well. Even if he doesn't get it this turn with his random receiver, he can just junk hunt for a catcher next turn. And it's the same thing. So, honestly, it all comes down to this. Oh, Matt gets the Juniper, and you see a catcher is in his deck. So here we go. It all comes down to whether or not Matt draws the catcher. Obviously, he has to play the tool scrapper first. If he forgets to do that, he will look like a fool. But there he goes. Matt is on top of his game today. Discards both those tools. Here we go. We need a Pokemon catcher to win. Does he draw it? And got it. Matt Moss will be 5-0 here at the Des Plaines Illinois City Championship. Very well played. He kept his cool under pressure. Even leaves his catcher on his opponent's side of the board. Hopefully he takes that card back just to show him that he has it. But yeah, very well played by both players, honestly. And I hope that Joe just take Matt's catcher. He might have. I'll have to talk to them after this. But yeah, congratulations to Matt. He will be one of I want to say one of 4 undefeated players now. That sounds about right. Yeah, Matt Moss will be one of 4 5-0 players. I probably shouldn't do this math when it's live here, but he's having a great run. Gotta say this Darkrai deck is really it's coming back strong in this format. You know, it seemed like it would go away with Blastoise being so popular, but it's coming back. Darkrai never leaves. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back with round 6 shortly. We have 2 more rounds to go. Pooka here from the Des Plaines Illinois City Championship. We'll be right back.